I'm gonna do it.
But why?
I'm gonna take this sleeping monster and put it to sleep.
How does this help us?
I have no idea, but it's not working.
Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, the timelines are intersecting.
Universes are melding together to the point that makes me question, is reality even real? That's right, for the first time since the second generation, a monster from Monster Hunter Frontier is entering the main series. It's been a ridiculously long time, and based on certain interviews along the way, we were all sort of under the impression that this would never happen again, that a Frontier monster just wouldn't come to the main series at any point again, and yet here we are in Sunbreak with the full-on flagship for all of Frontier, Espinas.
What's up, dude?
Today I'm going to be showing you some gameplay from the hunt itself, talking about how it feels to hunt Espinas in a modern Monster Hunter game, and then of course showing you the armor and skills themselves, especially as the monster brings in a whole new skill to the main series, a slightly altered version of a skill that absolutely dominated the meta in Frontier for a time. Without further ado then, let's talk about the fight itself. Just like in Frontier, Espinas in Sunbreak starts asleep. This is a really fun little flavor thing that can be taken one of two ways quite easily. Either it is so powerful that it has no reason to be afraid of its surroundings, or it is just so lazy or exhausted that it doesn't care about danger. It just wants to sleep.
Sleep.
Unlike Frontier, however, when it wakes up, Sunbreak Espinas is already rearing and ready to go. In Frontier, upon waking up, it would sort of wander around a bit, get its bearings, you know, how the average human is waking up in the morning before they've had their coffee or their breakfast or whatever personally takes the sleep out of your eyes. In Sunbreak, Espinas just frickin' goes for it. And of course, the main staple of this creature has carried over. The thing that I was most hopeful would, and also most terrified about the possibility of, poison paralysis fireballs. Yeah, you heard that right. It fires projectiles that apply fire blight, poison, and paralysis. As a result, this move essentially just denies you the ability to wirefall while also ticking your health away ridiculously fast. If you get hit by it, you will pretty much definitely get hit again unless your Palico or your Palamutes or any hunters that you're hunting with happen to be particularly quick and realize you're in need of some help. And while a lot of things have been changed and updated to make Espinas fit into the pace of the main series hunting, which is significantly different than Frontier, you can really see how much that they tried to stick to their original design decisions, with moves like this triple fireball looking almost exactly the same. In general, the moveset it has in Sunbreak is full of these fireballs, has a ton of charging back and forth 2 to 3 times in a row, almost like a giant spiky Tigrex, and it has a couple of larger blasts of poison parafire that it can do as an explosion in front of it or as a sort of sweeper attack in an arc near its face. Another quite notable part of this creature is that its enrage softens up its body. Normally the head is quite a hard hit zone, but once it is enraged, you can see its blood glowing through its body and the whole thing just becomes much more damageable just everywhere. In general, I just love how they've transferred this creature. They kept a lot of the personality and managed to keep a number of animations nearly the same. And it doesn't feel like a creature brought in from somewhere else. It is a monster that completely fits into Sunbreak and what Sunbreak is, to how Sunbreak plays. And of course, in Sunbreak, it looks absolutely freaking gorgeous. No matter how many people say negative things about the graphics in Rise and Sunbreak, I will absolutely die on the hill that the monsters themselves, at least, look as good as ever, if not better, and Espinas is no exception. The best part about the graphics of the modern Monster Hunter games to me is that they really show how the developers initially wanted these creatures to look. They aren't changed per se so much as they are just more able now to be shown in far more detail than they originally were, and Espinas, well, a rose by any other name, is still a rose, and this monster looks just as beautiful.
You're a rose among thorns.
When it comes to fighting it yourself, I would recommend taking this one a little bit slower than you take most monsters. It is surprisingly fast once the fight gets properly going, it has a lot of combos and a lot of range, and if you underestimate it, you will definitely get your face mashed in. Make sure that you bring antidotes for obvious reasons, or even just a friend using a hunting horn with the antidote song, which is quite strong for this purpose. If you are struggling, remember that now in Sunbreak more than ever, you can really use the endemic life around the map to assist you. Don't feel the need to rush straight into the fight at the start of the hunt when you can circle the map gathering toads and beetles and the like to make your life easier instead. On a similar note, the start of the fight is a great opportunity to get some good damage in. The monster starts asleep after all, which just gives you as much time as you need to line up the perfect sequence of hits before it actually starts attacking you back. Yes, it's not enraged during this period, and so many of its body parts are hardened up, but there are ways around that. Different parts of its body you can focus on for different weapons and different results, especially if you have something that ignores hit zones, for example. All in all, I'm just really happy that Espinas is in the main series now. The fight is really cool and unique even compared to the modern creatures throughout Sunbreak. Nothing else really applies statuses in this way, in this multitude to this degree, and it's a fun way to shake things up. The fight is nice and quickly paced, but not unfairly fast either, and it's honestly just nice to see Frontier bleeding into the main series a little bit more. After all, there are an insane amount of monsters unique to Frontier that haven't been in the main series, and Espinas finally being brought to the roster properly opens up that door. It means that realistically, any Frontier monster could come to the main series eventually, be redone in a way that it fits, and then voila, new monster that the vast majority of hunters haven't fought before, many never even seen or heard of. After all, if you didn't play Frontier, and if you aren't deeply into reading up on the monsters that you've not seen before, Espinas is essentially just a new monster for you, and that is awesome to me. I hope they continue this and bring in some of the more interesting and unique creatures from Frontier. There are plenty that would find a place in people's hearts given the chance, given the opportunity to shine in a main series game. And as much as Espinas isn't my favorite monster from Frontier personally, I cannot deny that it was an excellent choice to bring over as the flagship of that whole experience, and the experience that it gives you in Sunbreak is really fun. Moving on then to the armor that you get for defeating Espinas, it is of course named after the monster itself, and it is the classic one it had in Frontier, but looking even better. A leather duster coat mixed with monster bits and a white wig, because just why not, really? This one could easily have use in layered armor fashion mix sets. I mean, if you take off the waist, it's just a nice leather biker jacket. Hard to pass that up, am I right? And as far as the skills go, it has 3 paralysis attack, 3 part breaker, 3 foray, which is a new skill to the main series I will go over in a moment, 3 protective polish, 1 rapid fire up, 2 agitator, 2 flinch free, and 3 poison attack. Very much pushing towards status application, and foray itself is actually a skill taken somewhat from Frontier, being called status attack or status pursuit depending on your translation. This skill in that game made it so any attacks with a weapon that has status on it cause additional damage to a monster when it is afflicted by that status. In other words, a paralysis weapon would do way more damage to a monster that is currently paralyzed, and so on. Foray in Sunbreak, however, is a bit broader and more forgiving, giving you up to 15 raw attack as well as 20% affinity at max rank whenever you are attacking a monster that is afflicted by poison, paralysis, or an elemental blight, meaning that the things that you can afflict them with using either the beetles or the starburst bugs that sit on walls for you to throw the monsters into. Regardless, if a monster is affected by one of these 3 types of effects, you will gain that damage boost. This skill isn't necessarily groundbreaking in this game. It won't control the meta of Sunbreak. However, it does give a bit more reason to do a fully status-focused build, which is something that you will find a lot of in this expansion. Not statuses specifically, but a lot of skills that exist to sort of push you into trying things that are off the beaten path a little bit more. Less of the pure raw attack focused stuff, more of the interesting and unique skills. And that's about it. Espinas in all of its glory, ripped out of a game whose servers went down and then brought back to life in the main series for more people to fight it than ever got to before. It looks beautiful, the fight is fun, the armor isn't bad at all skill-wise, and it's just very nice visually speaking, so it's hard to have anything to complain about here, really. Honestly, I'm just happy to see it go down and expand the possibilities for the future of the roster of the Monster Hunter series. What do you guys think about Espinas making it into Sunbreak? Are you excited to mess around with Foray in a proper status build? Like if you like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.